Hey guys, welcome to Saturday, February 29th, 2020, which means it is leap year, which means there's 366 days in this year, which means I get an extra 24 hours of productivity, and you, my viewers and subscribers out there, you get an extra video to watch. Now, what am I going to talk about in this video? Well, I've been getting a lot of questions. Actually, I've been getting a lot of emails from people out there who know my email address. However they found it, I have no idea. But hey, good job on the detective work to some of you. Anyway, that have been asking me to comment on the Nintendo PlayStation prototype system that is up for bid at Heritage Auctions. Now, if you scroll through my feed of videos that I've produced over the last couple of weeks, I already did 2 separate videos on this topic. But interestingly enough, this auction has been somewhat of a roller coaster ride. So here's video number 3 on this particular topic, because several weeks back when I released my second video on this particular subject matter, the bid at that time with buyer's premium was $420,000. Well, if you go and take a look at the auction right now, the bid with buyer's premium is $336,000. So a lot of people out there are scratching their heads going, Sean, isn't an auction price supposed to escalate? I mean, doesn't the seller and Heritage Auctions anticipate that they're going to get the highest price towards the end of the auction? Why did it go from $420,000 to $336,000? Shouldn't that be the other way around? Yes, you are 100% correct. It should, in theory, be the other way around. And for those of you that know that there's different types of auctions, whether we talk about Chinese, English, or Dutch, I'm not going to get it in this video, but this is not a Dutch auction. So you are 100% correct to assume that this particular item should be going up in value and not decreasing in value. So this brings us to the first question. Sean, how did this happen? Why did it happen? How do you think it affects the item? And how do you think it's going to affect the final bid? Well, gee, you're just full of questions, aren't you? I'm going to answer all of them, and I'm going to start right here with the first one. First question, Sean, how did this happen? What transpired? What occurred behind the scenes? How did the item go from $420,000 to $336,000? Honest answer, nobody is going to know that, because Heritage and most other private online auction e-commerce sites don't show the bid history, meaning companies like Heritage, Sotheby's, Christie's, Cowan's, Hicks, Morphy's. A lot of these companies, you have no way of knowing if a bid was taken away or placed, because there's no registry where it shows you, like on eBay, you can click the bid history and it'll show you at least what anonymous users were placing the bid at what increment. Heritage Auctions doesn't have that feature. Now, to be fair, that's no disrespect towards Heritage Auctions. It's just how the market works in the antiques and collectibles trade in the year 2020. It's where we are with e-commerce. It's where we are with a lot of these high-volume, high-profile auction sites. So I cannot criticize Heritage Auctions for that. What I can say, however, is being in the antiques and collectibles trade for several decades, I can give you my opinion on how this occurred and what I think is happening behind the scenes. First, I have to issue 2 caveats before we get into that. The first caveat is, please understand that there is still 5 days left in this auction at the recording of this video. This item can easily go to $1 million or more, or it may not even get past $500,000 at present time. There's a lot of well-to-do people that will put their bids in at literally the last minute or the last second on an item like this. Keep in mind, if you have a couple $100,000 lying around to spend on an item like this, chances are you don't have to worry about telling your boss at work that, hey, I'm not coming in today, or I'm leaving early, or I'm coming in late, because I'm bidding on a $300,000 one-of-a-kind prototype system. So I hope you don't mind me coming in early or leaving late, but it's very important that I win this bid. Most people that are buying this item or bidding on it don't have that problem. Their calendar is pretty much open to be online when this auction ends, if they so choose to do so. Now, another caveat I want to state is, as I stated in my original video that I did on this particular item, it is very hard to appraise a one-of-a-kind item like this. A lot of these items, whether we're talking any caveat, any collecting category of the antiques, art, antiquities, collectibles trade, is very hard to appraise if the item is, number one of a kind or one of the only kind out there like it, and number two, it's never been on market or at auction before. The market for this is extremely speculative. It is extremely volatile. This is the equivalent of the speculative side of the collectibles trade. This is not like a rare coin, a piece of currency, an edged weapon, a firearm, where maybe there's only several known examples, where if it goes up for bid, we can pretty much gauge where that item is going to end up, or at least have an estimate as to what that item is going to sell for, or beyond for. Meaning if the estimate's $500,000, we can pretty much say at least that item is going to get $500,000 or more. With an item like this, the sky's the limit, or I hate to say it, the basement's the limit. You don't know where it's going to go. So with those two key points in mind, and again, remember there's still 5 days left in this auction, we can look at why this item possibly went from $420,000 with buyer's premium all the way down to $336,000 where it is right now. Now there's two possible reasons for this. The first is somebody was bidding on this, they were interested, and they honestly thought that this item would generate more interest to the point where they would possibly get pulled into a bidding war, and then at that particular point in time, they could decide, hey, you know what, if I see this item's going to $750,000 and I only want to pay $500,000, I'll stop bidding. Well, what most likely happened in this individual's mind, this person put in several bids that were pretty high up there in value, and he realized, well, gee, there's 5 days left. No one's bidding really against me at this time. Do I want to take a risk? And do I want to be the person that could potentially own this? And now I'm stuck with an item that may only sell for $300,000 or $350,000. Maybe my money is better used elsewhere. Whether we're talking another segment of the antiques and collectibles trade, the financial markets, the real estate market, or even another sector of vintage video game collecting. Maybe the guy says, you know what, it might be better for me to go out there and buy Wada Graded Games, which I don't agree with, but then again, I don't agree with this sale either, so I'm probably not the person to ask on that subject matter. But it has been known where people will pull out of an auction if an item doesn't generate enough interest to the point where they think it's going to be an iconic sale in the trade. They're only in it not only for the investment potential, but also ego. And ego, everything's going okay, can always get you into trouble. Just ask me. In my early years in the antiques and collectibles trade, guys, I could do videos where I explain to you that I lost 6 figures already to get to this point. Really, the market needs to be learned. So as you get more experience, that's where you make your money. That's why I started this channel, to teach everybody out there that thinks all these big whales coming into these markets who seem to know everything, a lot of them have no clue what they're doing. They just have tons of money and no sense. That's really sometimes how these markets play out. Now, the second reason that could cause this particular item to go from $420,000 to $336,000 is the fact that on Heritage end of the auction, they were looking into the bid history and they said, you know, this bid and this particular bidder seems really suspect. So it's possible that they, and again, this is all speculation. I don't know this for fact, guys. So I don't want to throw Heritage under the bus here because that's not my intent. I'm just looking at this like any well-respected auction house would handle their own business. So if they see a bid come in and they go, look, this bid's from Timmy Poindexter Jr. Let's call Timmy Poindexter Jr. and see what his intent is to bid on this item and if he can afford to pay. Because remember, guys, if this item sells and the end buyer doesn't pay, that's a whole issue entirely. Most well-reputable auction sites, Heritage, Morphy's, Sotheby's, Christie's, the one thing that they want to be sure, regardless of what the final bid is at, they want to make sure that the person who wins the bid can pay for the item in question. So it's quite possible that Heritage got this bid from Timmy Poindexter Jr., and they start researching Timmy Poindexter Jr., and he's never bid it on anything on Heritage before. And they research him a little further, and they find out the guy makes $30,000 a year and is a potato farmer in Idaho. Now, no offense, if you are watching this video, you happen to make $30,000 a year, and you are a potato farmer in the state of Idaho. However, the chances of a potato farmer making $30,000 living in the state of Idaho who are going to be able to come up with $300, $400, half a mil to pay for this item are slim to nil. So most likely, Heritage, being cautious as they are, they said, you know what? We got to cancel this bid unless this Timmy Poindexter Jr. guy can prove that he can pay for this item if he wins. So sometimes what'll happen, and I'm not saying this happens all the time, but if I go and I start bidding on $1 million item, I expect I'm going to be called by the auction company and they're going to say, hey, the max item you've ever bidded on was 6 figures. You're now jumping into the 7-figure pool. We need to see proof that if you win this bid, you can pay for this particular item. So that's probably the second scenario that could have happened that caused this bid to get retracted. Now, there's other issues that could be occurring behind the scenes where somebody claims, you know, I bidded on the item incorrectly, I apologize. And if they spend a significant amount with Heritage, or if they have a good bid history with Heritage or any auction company, sometimes the auction company will cancel the bid, no problem, and just say, hey, don't let it happen again. We understand the circumstance. You're in good standing with us. We cancel the bid. So there's all other types of scenarios that could come into play here. But ultimately, I think this boils down to two things. Either, in my first scenario, a bidder that got cold feet and just said, hey, I'm pulling out. I don't like the way this is going. I don't think I should have been bidding on this. Or number two, on the other end of the coin, or the proverbial transaction, Heritage and the auction company is sitting there going, hey, this person, this Timmy Poindexter Jr. that has the bid, we don't think he's going to be able to pay. So if he can't prove income and or asset relativity to buy this particular type of item, we're going to cancel his bids. That's what most likely happened here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will, rest assured, do another video on this particular topic when the auction does end. If you do have any feedback, please let me know in the comment section below. Consider liking or subscribing to this channel. Thank you, and have a great night. And again, I am not bidding on the Nintendo PlayStation system, nor do I have any interest in bidding on this item. Just full disclosure before we go any further with these videos on this topic, because there's always one person in the comment section that makes it seem like I'm the bidder on this. I assure you, I do not invest in vintage video games or items like this for the long term. You guys know that if you watch this channel. Thank you, and good night.